I'm gonna miss this bike, I'll tell you what. Whoa. So I wanted to make a video on this bike before I sell it. Figure it only fair because I really couldn't be happier with my experience owning this bike. So for the record, this is a 98 Ninja 500. I've had it for about 9 months, but I am going to be trying to sell it fairly soon because I have recently purchased this bike's replacement, which we will get into at a later date. This is about this bike, not the new one. But yeah, so basically this is my first street bike, for real street bike. Now I'm not a new rider at all. I'm just new to the street. I learned to ride motorcycles 15, 16 years ago, but it was exclusively trail riding. And you know, so I had a variety of dirt bikes over the years, and I've had a lot of fun. And I never really, I guess I never really wanted to move it into street riding. I mean, I thought about it, but it never just seemed feasible or practical or whatever. But I guess, you know, kind of last year, around this time actually, around April, May, started to get the itch. I was thinking, you know, maybe I should. So I took the MSF course last summer. It was a great little refresher because it has been a couple years since I've been up on the trails. But took the MSF course, got my motorcycle endorsement, went shopping, got this awesome Ninja 500. It's got, yeah, like 26,500 miles on it. I've put, damn, over, how many miles? I think I've put about 2,500 miles on this bike. And I've only had it for 9 months, and I haven't even been riding it for the last 2 because I have my new bike that I've been riding mostly. So, you know, I rode the shit out of this thing. And I got a pretty good deal on it as far as I'm concerned. Oh, please don't hit me. Got a good deal on it, and, you know, it served me really, really well. And it is, all I can say, a fantastic beginner bike. It's not really slow, but it's not really fast. I mean, it is a medium compression, somewhat over square bore to stroke ratio for anyone that even cares about that stuff. But so it is kind of a top end happy engine. It has a good amount of torque down at about 3, which is where I am right now. I mean, good enough. That's what, 6th gear right there. But then it's soft from about 4 to 5.5 or 6, and then from 7 up, this thing, you know, it's surprising. It'll catch you off guard and you'll be like, wow, that thing actually does have some power. Oh shit, what is this? I'm just gonna fucking turn here, I think. Yeah, out of that Lexus. Alright, we're moving again! Woo! So anyway, I'm not a huge proponent that your first bike should be a, you know, a slow-ass Ninja 250 or anything like that. There's a big debate about, you know, oh, you know, you shouldn't get a R6 or whatever if you're into sport. If you want to get into sport bikes, which I did, my intent was always to get kind of into maybe not a race bike, but more of a sporty bike. And there is that debate that if that's what you want to get into, you should just don't waste your money and your time. Just get the R6 or the CPR 600, whatever you're into. And I'm not totally opposed to that. The argument is that, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna kill yourself. It's gonna wheelie out from under you, all that shit, which may be the case, but generally speaking, that's not why I'm opposed to the idea. My philosophy is when you start riding a motorcycle, at some point you're probably going to crash. Maybe not bad, hopefully not bad, but you're probably going to lay it down, you know, when you're less experienced. And that's not the end of the world. But if you just bought a 13 grand brand new race bike, you drop that thing, dude, that's shitty. And over some stupid mistake, you're going to basically lower the value a lot. It's gonna end up being fairly costly, a drop. in addition to any injuries or anything you might sustain. But so by getting a bike like this, now, granted, I haven't dropped this bike and I don't intend to. I have crashed a lot on the trails. I've pretty much crashed because of every, flaw in technique that can be attributed to crashing. I've done it all. Luckily, it's all been on the trails, and I never got seriously injured in any of those. So I'd like to think that I've gotten it out of my system for the most part. But it was good to get something that could crash. And honestly, this bike has been set down by the previous owner once or twice. Low speed, probably just tipped over in the driveway or something, but it barely scratched anything, and I didn't want to pay any less for the bike because it had some minor scuffs. That's not why I wanted the bike in the first place. I just wanted it to be reliable and be a good starter bike, so that didn't bother me, and I'm sure I'll get at least what I paid for it. When I sell this bike. That guy's kind of coming fast. So here's 9,000 RPM. So, it picks up a little bit once you get the revs up there. It's not a total slouch, but it is no race bike. We'll put it that way. This thing is far from a race bike. You can go fast on it if you have a little bit of time to get there. But, yeah, it's not going to stun you as far as crazy speed. Yeah, and I mean, I've had this bike up to about 110 miles an hour before. Indicated, it's probably like a little bit less in actuality, but an indicated 110, it was still pulling, I bet it would go to an indicated 120 if you gave it a chance. 6th gear at that speed, you're at about 8,000, 8,500 RPM, so it has good power at 110 miles an hour. And you can tell that there's more above there. But I wouldn't really try to go much more than that with it. Oh yes, it's green. All right, fucking sweet curve. Let's get off the side of the bike a bit. And I'm a big technique junkie. Like, the most satisfying thing for me when I'm riding is when I execute something with perfect or near perfect technique. And this bike, I've had enough seat time in this bike that I'm really confident on it. So more confident than I am on my newer bike by a lot. And because of that, I'm willing to basically push it a little bit and go into a situation that requires good technique. But it is awesome. It's a great feeling. When you do everything right, the bike just works. That's seriously as much of a motivation as anything. It's not a fast rever the way the more racy bikes are. It reminds me of a freaking car, like an economy car. It's like, yeah, it'll rev high, but it doesn't sound great. It doesn't do it really quickly. There's some fun. Alright. Now I know why some motovloggers are like, nope, I'm not going to talk when we're stopped at a light. Gotta wait for the green. So yeah. This is Steven riding, by the way. This is not me riding. So it takes a second to get going fast. That's for goddamn sure. Definitely gotta be patient. But it's still fun. You can still have a fucking blaster on that fucking STI. Or no, it's just a WRX. Never mind. Can still give it a good thrashing though. One finger braking. definitely have some fun on this thing. Oh shit, school zone. I don't want to get a $300 ticket. I only really wanted to talk about this bike. I feel like I've kind of done that. So anyone want to buy it? Jeez. If anyone's looking for an awesome beginner bike that'll... I mean, this thing is so easy to ride. Like, after switching to this from my other bike, I feel like I couldn't crash this thing if I tried to. It's just like, I think this bike has more trail, and that's why it doesn't have like really quick steering. I'm somewhat of a gearhead. I do all my own automotive and motorcycle, what have you, maintenance work. I consider myself a motoring enthusiast, but the one thing I have not studied in enough detail to truly understand it is motorcycle steering and suspension geometry. It's pretty complicated, actually. I'm sometimes amazed that it works, and you can actually straddle one of these beasts and go 150 miles an hour on one and not crash instantly. It's easy, and when you're on it, it seems even easier. Not that I would ever go 150 on city roads. That would be very illegal. But, some people might. Some people. This thing has been a really champ. Starts right up. It's carbureted, not fuel injected, so on colder days it does need just a tiny bit of choke, but it gets 50 to 60 miles to the gallon depending on how you're riding it. I usually get about 50, 52 maybe, somewhere in there. But if you stay off the highway and you keep it under 80, it'll get 60 miles to the gallon easily. So it's a great commuter bike for that reason. It's easy. Yeah, the other thing about getting an expensive bike is insurance. If I had a bike that was worth more than, I think, about 5 to 6 grand, I couldn't justify not having full coverage on it. And full coverage on a bike is incredibly expensive. Check out that STI. Yeah! So I think we get to go now. Visor down. This thing, I'll just tell you, my other bike, when I power downshift, I don't know what the technical term is, I call it power downshift. Go from the gear you're in, throttle, and then exact your downshift so you build revs in between. But my other bike, it revs so fast. I mean, you do a power downshift at 4,000, it goes to 8,000, and then back down to 6 when the clutch sticks back in, and it almost wheelies it. This thing is not all that dramatic. Even though I have what some would consider a pretty fun and awesome car to drive, I would consider that, I would still rather be on this thing. Even though this thing is not as fast as the STI. Definitely not. Ooh, should I split lanes? Oh, it's so fucking tempting. Fall into that corner. Yeah, so until next time, I guess. Alright, stupid sign, I will obey you.